Mark Stalker of Kenosha is the Republican candidate in the special election in the 64th Assembly District. Mark, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
Give us the short version of your background.
Yeah, I came to Kenosha 36 years ago, give or take, to be head baseball coach at Carthage College. And while there, met a young lady from Madison, and eventually a couple years later we got married, and Kim and I are still married with 5 kids. But that whole time I've been in Kenosha, but I've worked for, at the time they weren't paying very much money for Division III college baseball coaches, so I needed a little higher salary, so I went into the business world, and I've been inside sales, outside sales, inside sales manager, outside sales manager, so I've done a lot of different things, managed budgets from $1 million to $20 million. And in there was one little hiccup where I became a member of the Kenosha Unified School Board. So I was also on the Audit and Budget Committee, chaired it actually, the Audit and Budget Committee for them. So I've been involved, not really a career politician, but willing to step into this.
What do you consider the top issue in this race, Mark?
Well, I think locally seems to be some debate on Highway KR and how we're going to handle that going forward with the Foxconn development and the Foxconn development.
What about Foxconn? Would you have voted for it?
Without reading, I'll be honest here, I haven't read the whole program here.
Right.
But as long as I was confident, and I was, I mean, Scott did a great job with our economy, and the Republicans did, I think, the last 8 years. So I trust that they did the right thing here. And as long as the due diligence is in there to be able to track that the money goes with the jobs and those kind of things, it's hard to turn away 13,000 jobs. I would not want to be in New York and chasing away Google or whoever else. So as long as we have the checks and balances in there, absolutely, I would want the 13,000 jobs.
Now, the 64th District does not include the proposed Foxconn site, but it's next door to it.
It is, right next door.
It's contiguous.
Yep.
As you campaign, are the people you meet, the potential voters on April 30th, are they worried that Foxconn isn't going to deliver on some of those job promises, sir? I
haven't heard that yet, but maybe I've been to the right doors, right? I mean, who knows?
Okay.
But we're just really getting started with my campaign because I got in late, as you probably know. So been to a few hundred doors, need to get to a few thousand doors, and then I'd probably give you a better answer. But at least on the ones I've been to, I haven't heard that concern. There have been concerns about healthcare and those kind of things, and some of the other questions that you're going to ask me. But
well, on your campaign Facebook account, you say you accuse Governor Evers' budget of pandering. Right. On what issues?
Well, one for sure is school choice. Kim and I have homeschooled our 5 children, and we loved having that choice. And I have been an advocate of poor graduation rates for minority males and females, but particularly males, for the last 20 years. I've probably written 20 letters to the editors over those years. And one of my big concerns is that we finally have a program where a parent can take that money, maybe not all 11,000 that we're going to spend on them, but they can take that to a school where they can have some success. And from my time on the school board, I know that money doesn't solve all issues. I absolutely know that. We had $250 million budget, 40 buildings to take care of, and 20,000 students. But it didn't solve that problem. Now, we have kind of solved the problem. Graduations have gone up. They did it a way I would not have been supportive of, in the sense that we lowered the requirements for graduation, which was a shame. So yeah, I think on that for sure. And then I definitely think the tax increase, I mean, I was watching the debate when he said he wouldn't raise taxes. So I know there's going to be a debate on the gas tax and those kind of things, but certainly he did tell us that he wouldn't raise taxes.
Well, let's talk about that proposed increase in the gas tax.
Yep.
The governor wants 8 cents.
Yep.
Says that if we repeal minimum markup, that would more than offset the 8 cents.
Sure.
You don't believe it?
Well, the minimum markup, I'd love to go away. I think we pay enough in gas tax. That's what I don't believe. I don't think, I mean, so maybe the debate is how poor our roads are. And as a guy that traveled for multiple states, I can tell you that Wisconsin roads, at least the state roads and the federal roads, aren't all that bad. They really are not. And we've corrected one of the big issues there in Milwaukee, and we're working on that south end of Kenosha to Milwaukee area right now. But I mean, if you've ever been on I-65 in Indiana, going from Chicago, like I have, to Louisville, that is a horrible road. Now, there's where you can get your ideas. So I'm not sure if the money's being spent poorly or if the money's not being watched closely. I'm not sure on that because, I cannot believe that whatever we're paying, 29 cents or whatever.
30.9 cents.
Yeah, 30.9 cents isn't enough. Now, we have another issue there too, right? I mean, if we are going to do it, let's include the electric cars somehow. So I think there's a big debate coming on the whole thing.
Okay, so you're not yet at the point where you could vote to raise the gas tax, the registration fee, or index the gas tax?
No.
You're not there?
I am not there.
The governor's budget would raise the registration fee for heavy trucks. Are you also not in favor of that increase?
No, I would not be in favor of that.
Do we have a shortfall in funding our highways? You don't sound like you're convinced.
I mean, it sounds like we have to borrow money regularly to do it. And again, I think that kind of goes back to, for me, it goes back to administration. Just like I was always told we don't have enough money at the school system, I think we do. I think we have enough money. I think we have enough money there. Let's start using it wisely. I mean, I could think of a few roundabouts in my area, not in the area where I'm going to be running, but just in Kenosha, Racine County, where I go, why a roundabout right here? You know, so we've done some things that I scratch my head on, but I need to take a little harder look at it.
You don't like the governor's tax shift. He would raise the tax on capital gains.
Yep.
And he would limit the tax claimed by some manufacturers. In exchange, he's got a middle-class tax cut and an increase in the earned income tax credit and a new tax break for first-time home buyers. So you don't like that tax shift in the governor's budget?
I do not. I think farmers were included in there too. There were some credits that they were going to be losing.
The farmers have been dropped.
Right.
From that.
Okay. So yeah, I would shifting taxes isn't to me when you're running a $700 million surplus. We shouldn't be talking about any tax increases because that money does belong to those who put it in there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If we're not using that money wisely, and it shouldn't be $700 million, and it should be $500 million surplus. Okay, let's debate that. But why do we need more when we're running that?
The governor's budget would take advantage of the expansion of Medicaid. The governor said 82,000 more people would get it, and we'd get, I think, an additional 169 million from the feds for it. Okay. Would your position on expanding Medicaid?
Not a big fan of that, but I probably need more information on it, to be honest with you. But I know healthcare is certainly an issue where I talk to folks and from seeing the last election, and certainly pre-existing condition, and I'm all for holding on to pre-existing conditions. But at the same time, I'm not for any sense of more building a bigger entitlement class in the state of Wisconsin, if that's what it is. I just want to make sure that we are using the money judiciously and looking at every avenue before we just go running off and just saying more money will fix healthcare, because it doesn't always fix it, I can tell you.
On your Facebook campaign account, you say you're pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-business, and against new taxes. We kind of talked about the taxes. Your position on pro-life, then the governor's budget would restore funding for Planned Parenthood. You're not a supporter of that?
Not a supporter of that, no. Obviously, Kim and I had 5 children. We were fortunate enough to homeschool them all, and I think the value of the life, I would hate to see us go down the path of New York where you can rip that baby out of the womb 9 months into a pregnancy. It just really hurts me, and I would not be in favor of that.
When you say you're pro-Second Amendment, the governor's budget wouldn't change our gun laws. Are you afraid that the Second Amendment is threatened?
Well, I mean, I do believe many people in Wisconsin, so I'll give you an example. So I have a cousin that is in the ammunition business. Mm-hmm. His best years were during the Obama years, right? Mm-hmm. He struggled the last two years with a Republican administration. And the reason for that is because people have this fear that the left and Governor Evers may at some point in time come after their guns, right? That's the idea. Right. So I just want to make sure people understand that I'm going to be pro Second Amendment.
The governor's budget would raise the minimum wage. He'd take it up $1 and then 75 cents a year, and he'd have a commission. study how we get to $15 an hour. What's your position on minimum wage?
Well, I would never get to $15 an hour. I guess because I started, I'm 61, so back when I was in high school, I was probably making that minimum wage of $2.50 an hour, running a little camp for kids in the summer, those kind of things. So I believe large increases like that in the minimum wage is a job killer for those folks. I really believe that. I've seen some of the studies that have come out of Washington and where they've done it. I believe it kills some jobs. I think it puts a small businessman in a small business person in a really difficult situation to continually to amp up how much they have to pay. Those are not meant to be skilled positions. They are not skilled, but it's a great entry-level position for people that don't have those skills. And it's my belief, especially in today's market, having worked at a factory where when I started there, the hourly fee was about $12 an hour, and now it's up past $17 an hour. Mm-hmm. Competition by having unemployment low will raise people faster than the minimum wage will, and it doesn't kill jobs.
So you couldn't vote for the $1 increase as part of the governor's budget?
I could not.
Okay. The governor's budget also would include a system to reapportion or redistrict in a nonpartisan way.
Okay.
He would create a impartial panel to draw new maps. Mm-hmm. Do you support that?
Well, I guess it's an issue, again, that I probably have to look at harder now that I'm in this race.
Okay.
But I don't think we had this discussion during the Doyle administration or even the Tommy Thompson one. I guess maybe it's this one that has been, I guess this 8 years has been the one that has tipped us over the barrel so that we have to do something. But I guess my opinion would be I will listen to my colleagues. I will see what are the pros and the cons of it. But as we talk here today, I wouldn't be supportive of that.
The governor's office would repeal the right-to-work law. Your position on that?
I would say I would not be in favor of that.
Okay. And the governor's office would restore the prevailing wage law. Do you have enough information to have a position on that?
Well, of course, from my industry, being in coatings for many years, I can do it based on somebody I know. So somebody I know builds things, right, for a living. They go to build houses or they build buildings for the state or whatever. Mm-hmm. However, now when they go to, and they make decent money doing that, right, $20 to $30 an hour. However, they had to go across the state line into Illinois one day to do that. Had to pay $53 an hour. Same work, same scope of work, mm-hmm. But now we have to pay, versus that 35, we're paying 53. I think we should use that savings. We should be, when we can do it, and as long as we have architects that know what they're doing and we have a bid process that works, I would not be in favor of reinstating the prevailing wage.
The governor's budget, you have said you're a fan of the school choice program. I understand that. The governor's budget would include an additional $1.5 billion for our K-12 public schools, including $600 million more for special education.
Right.
You're a former member of the school board.
Right.
Could you support the proposed increase in K-12 public schools in the governor's budget?
I would say no. I would endorse what Kenosha Unified just did, taking a hard look at every program, like I did when I was on the board. I visited every school when I was on the board. 40 schools, I went to every one of them every year, at least for an hour. It was during my lunch hour, and I would go. Mm-hmm. But what the Kenosha Unified Board did this past week was to drop We Act Trust and save $3,000 per head for a family benefit. Now that's being creative and using Act 10 like it's supposed to be. So I would support more of that kind of look versus just taking a money grab. Again, back to the pandering. You're going to throw that money there. We know where it's going to go. 85% goes to salary and benefits. It doesn't filter down to the special ed child. It doesn't. But I have complete sympathy for that situation that child's in. And if we need more money, then let's be creative first before we just grab it.
Okay, final question. Difference between you and the three Democrats that are running?
Well, I would say I don't know any of them personally. Okay. So yeah. I'm just going to go by what they've kind of said here. I think if you like AOC and some of her green ideas and some of her tax ideas, you're going to love my competitors, right? So, and if you like some of these ideas that you presented from Mr. Evers, they're going to vote yeah. They're going to be right on it, every one of them. So, I'm the difference maker. I said the reason I got in the race was because I was tired of it being unopposed. Peter Barker is a nice guy. See him at the Y now and then, say hi to him. But he ran unopposed. We never had a discussion about it even. We never even had a discussion. It was always one-sided. So that's why I'm here, and we'll see how it goes.
Thank you. Mark Stalker of Kenosha is the Republican candidate in the special election in the 64th Assembly District. The special election to fill that vacancy is April 30th. Mark, thank you for talking to WisconsinEye.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.